This is the Miscellany News, and we are here today with Professor Tucker of the Drama Department, Associate Professor and Chair. She's also starring in the Broadway adaptation of To Kill A Mockingbird. So Professor Tucker, thank you for talking with us today.
Absolutely.
Very, very excited. I'll just dive right in. You star in the Broadway adaptation of To Kill A Mockingbird. I was wondering how it is to translate a novel to theater rather than something that's always been meant for the stage.
Well, I can say this. I must say I had the good fortune to do it for 14 months. As of November 3rd, I became full professor again, just as professor, not full professor, not that yet, I'm associate. But because our contracts were a year long, and so there were 24 of us in the show, and 18 of us said, thank you, we've had a great time. We're gonna take the option of ending our contract November 3rd. So I'm no longer doing the show. But I did just go see my friends doing the show just on Sunday. I took a class from Vassar to go see it. So it was so lovely to get to see all my friends that are still in it and talk with them. And yes, in fact, there may be a couple more people that were not part of the original cast, but were in addition to that 6. So I know probably 9 or 10 people in the show. And how it is to take it from being America's favorite novel, which it was voted that last year, I believe, and translating that into a play. I've learned so much. Aaron Sorkin is a genius because he turned it into a mystery. So he took the kernel of the play, the very important thought in the play, and I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't seen it, but was able to take that one question and turn it into a mystery. And that keeps it exciting for the audience that's sitting there going, who know the story. I mean, most people in the audience know the story, but we don't go to see Romeo and Juliet for how does it go. Yeah. I always say in my classes, spoiler alert, they die. Yeah. They die every time. But people keep seeing that play over and over because it's how you tell it. And so with the adaptation, it's in how it's told, what things are brought to the forefront, and necessarily what things are brought to the forefront in this day and age, as opposed to when it was written in the early 1960s, about a time of 1934 Alabama. Is it responsible writing to just literally take it and put it on the stage, or must you pay attention to the thoughts and circumstances of today's world as you tell that story? And I think that Aaron Sorkin does that very responsibly. So there are things that are heightened and one might say extrapolated, things that are made of higher importance, that are in the novel, but they are clarified and heightened for the play. So people have I can grab a hold of that. Oh, I can understand that.
So switching to your career at Vassar, your local vocation, you teach a course called Experimental Theater. In the description, it says it teaches both theory and technique.
Yes.
What do you consider experimental?
I think when that title was created, the drama department came out of the English department at Vassar. So the English department looked at theory they looked at, well, how is this play done? How would it be done? How could it be done? What story could it tell? But they didn't actually tell them. So the folks in the English department at that time, which was in the 30s, I believe, who were practitioners, said, well, let's not just talk about how it's done, let's do it. And so let's experience it. Let's make it an experiential moment. So the theater here started as a lab for things that were talked about. Let's bring those into performance. So let's make it experimental as opposed, and I think we might say now, experiential. But I think they use the term experimental. So it doesn't necessarily connotate avant-garde or crazy, out of the world. No, who could have thought of that? It's not, as opposed to, it encompasses what we would think of often in the practitioner's world in New York City. We would say it encompasses downtown theater, which is considered the more cutting edge theater, but it also encompasses what commercial theater, if for Vassar, probably would be a musical, say A Little Night Music. So yes, it's really experiential, our experimental. That's what
It also teaches you how to perform critically.
it does.
What do you consider critical performance as opposed to critical reading or critical writing?
I think critical performance, I think you, as opposed to, I guess I would say is, that you've looked at the performance from many angles and many aspects, not just as the performer, but you look at it, how is a cinematographer or a scenographer, if you will. Cinematographer, obviously, we think of camera, but it's about the global experience of the story. So I want to say, without being disrespectful of other artists, but I think what we do is create a responsible theater, so that you've looked at it from the way in which the performer will translate it, but ask questions. I don't think we can ever know exactly what the writer intended. I do know people who purport to do Shakespeare as the writer intended it. Well, I'm not sitting next to Shakespeare, so I don't know what he didn't whisper in my ear. But that I've looked at, say, for instance, with Shakespeare, where was it written? When was it written? In his pantheon of work, what are to come? What are the aspects? What are past productions? So you've done a lot of the work to look at it, and then who are some of the masters of this particular character? And what did they bring to the character? As you also saying, what do I bring to the character? What do I have for free? What do I bring with me that comes and marries into this character? And so we work with teaching that. We work with saying, this is what you have. That Taylor's Juliet or Romeo will be very different than Shona Tucker's Romeo or Juliet. Those are very valid. And how do we keep you investing in you as you also understand the context of how it came to be?
And that's how you keep relaying these age-old stories.
Yes.
Over and over again.
Yes.
Interesting. So your co-star, or former co-star, Celia Keenan-Bolger, is coming to Vassar this Saturday to talk about her career on and off the stage. I'm interested in your career, having one foot in academia and one foot in Broadway. Mm-hmm. What are some momentous post-college experiences that have led you to where you are now in your career or careers?
Oh my gosh, so many. And what I must say, Celia Keenan-Bolger Keenan Bolger, who's the star of To Kill a Mockingbird. I helped tell the story. So I want to be clear. She's a wonderful, unbelievably talented, giving performer. For me, in my life, the things, there's so many. I would say my doing a Fulbright scholarship to Nigeria gave me such an expanded worldview at a very young age. Right before I got the Fulbright straight out of undergraduate school, and so that was a major eye opener on, oh my God. My parents used to always say, you could create a whole world out of this stuff you don't know. I don't even think they knew that you really can create a whole new world out of stuff you don't know. I mean, even water. Water is water to me. But water over there, you don't just go to the water fountain and drink it. Or you'll get different bugs and dysentery or amoeba or something. You know, so water becomes a different entity over there. That goes for every aspect of it. And that opened up a whole, just doors that I didn't understand. I would say I did an internship with the Negro Ensemble Company before I graduated from undergraduate school. Negro Ensemble Company, it was the company that was started in 1969 in New York City by Black artists, for Black artists, about Black life. You know, it was an immersion in something I never even thought to think of. I knew that I wanted to do something in New York City, but to find out that this was even possible, to help me understand that I can do this. And I got to live, well, they're megastars now, but I got to live in that house of the person that I ended up understudying on Broadway, LaTanya Richardson, who was married to Samuel L. Jackson. So I got to live in their house to do it. This was before Sam was Samuel. So that, you're talking about what influenced me I lived in their house and while I did my internship, and I was her assistant while I did my internship. And whoa, we come full tilt. And here I come to, you know, work with her again in a different context. Yeah.
Again, this, I feel it's very unique that you work in academia and you're a professional dramatist. How does your teaching, especially the courses that you're teaching right now, how do those inform your individual performance or vice versa?
They do all the time. There's that old saying, those who can do, those who can't teach. This is a fallacy. What I've learned is those who can do, those who want to do really well, teach, because then you see the things that you're talking about, you see, and you have to then think, how do I make clear what I'm wanting to convey? And then, you know, if you're a thinking person, if you're a conscious person, you say, oh, I get it. Oh, that's what I need to do to expand myself further. And it gives you a permission to do what you're telling other folks to do. And if there's something that I'm not clear on how to convey, I observe my fellow performers in the professional world, or I go through the term won't mean anything to you all because I don't think you have the Rolodex. Do you know what a Rolodex is? It's so incredible. A Rolodex would be a thumb drive, if you will, of all the different performances that I've had. I mean, Rolodex used to be cards that were on a wheel. They were little, smaller than index cards that you could just flip it and go, oh, that is a great example. I'm also able to, thank goodness, talk to other professionals when I have a quandary or I'm saying I'm not getting through this. Do you have any thoughts or exercises? And I have a great network to say, oh yeah, just teach them to give it back to me exercise. What? Oh, well, oh, okay, great. Oh yeah. Because the more I work as an actor, the bigger my network becomes, and I find the professionals to be extremely giving in their desire to cultivate young minds. So they want to help, and so it becomes a real reciprocity. Yes, it's exquisite.